All right. So I think that this is a really interesting question, and there's probably a really nuanced answer, and I'm excited to hear what you guys think of it. But where are the biggest opportunities for hash rate to grow? We're seeing a lot of like a wide variety of different kind of Bitcoin mining operations, and I'm kind of curious, like, where is the most of the hash going to come from? I mean, let's jump to Jesse on this one. I know a lot of people are extremely bullish on Texas, and I know that that's what you guys are all about. Where's hash rate going to come in the next few years?
I mean, obviously, I think that Texas is going to be a big region. I think that the Texas electricity market is enormous. It's an 80,000 megawatt market. Like, you could fit all of Bitcoin in less than 10% of the Texas electricity market. But I think that in order for Bitcoin to be really healthy on a global scale, we're going to need to have hash rate built out in more than just one place. I think the trends that we're seeing with hash rate moving out of China and being less concentrated, I think that's incredibly bullish for Bitcoin. But I think that it's going to take more than just one place to really have a globally distributed network that investors can be comfortable investing in. Like, the value proposition of Bitcoin is the fact that you can move value without a central authority, and centralization is a huge risk to that. So I think it's moving in the right direction. I think Texas is going to be a big part of it. I hope that Canada steps in a bigger way. I wish that Europe could be a part of that, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. But I think that there are several regions around the world that are going to have to expand in order to really reach that sort of global scale.
Who wants to jump in?
Did anyone count how many times, Jesse, you need to consume alcohol? From that.
Well done, Leo. Proud of you. What are your thoughts here, Leo?
Well, I heard the B word at least 3 times, I think.
Shots.
Jesse, get on a knee and just chug. Let's go.
Well, so
Yeah, anyways, sorry.
yeah, I was just going to jump in and say, we're talking about the growth of hash rate, and maybe to help kind of explain the question even further. There's multiple ways that it grows, right? There's new sources of power. There's new countries that are kind of investing into it. There's new rigs and different products that you can use in order to create more hash power. And then there's like a whole financial side of it, the financialization of it. So there's a lot of ways that this question can go, and I'm obviously not an expert enough to talk about any of those, but just wanted to kind of repose it. And Leo, if you want to jump in, feel free.
Yeah, so I think obviously we're seeing the trend that more hash rate is moving out of China, moving to parts of Russia, parts of North America. I think that trend is very clear. So aside from geographic movements, I also want to comment on there are also other parts of the infrastructure stack are also happening as well. I think a big thing that traditional investor family offices, just from my personal experience of pitching mining investments to these people, a common reaction they have is, okay, 100% return sounds great, but what we really want is a consistent 5% return every year, and there's just no way to guarantee that, right? So I think many other traditional commodities that oil producers or precious metal producers, they have found very effective ways to hedge against their production risk, either on OTC markets or public markets using futures. I think that's going to be an important trend for hash power market to develop in order for other more traditional, more conservative investors to feel comfortable with the kind of volatility in return. I think what's going to be interesting is as fees become more dominant part of mining revenue, we require more interesting ways to manage that. One thing I'm seeing in the Ethereum mining space is that people realize, okay, the miners are leaving a lot of money on the table. There are more some interesting ideas being proposed, such as ways to prioritize certain transactions, certain ways to basically move the burden of gas costs from one side of people to other side of people. I think there will be more these kind of more nuanced toolkits that people start to build that fits into the mining infrastructure stack that make this process more efficient. I think that's going to be also a big part that growth is going to happen.
So it's coming from efficiency gains and kind of like incorporation. Um, what I mean that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and I would just add, I mean, I think what Jesse and Steve are doing from a North American perspective has to be the future for mining, right? I think that, you know, until our country figures out what we're going to do with the tariffs, maybe you guys have a way to get these machines in and not pay tariffs, but like, you know, to me, it's just ridiculous to add, you know, an extra 25% on an item, right? And then to try and play that game.
There's a good premium for smuggling right now, eh?
Exactly, right? So it's like, you know, like if I have a couple megawatts and I'm paying 3.5 cents in China, why do I want to bring in a machine, a $3,000 machine, and pay an extra 25%?
Well,
Until we get that figured out, like that to me is it's insane, right?
So hey, I'm sorry, Kristy.
That's-
Before you jump
yeah.
in, I want to give Elsa a chance to chime in too. You know, coming from a manufacturer trying to ship machines around the globe, you know, what's the landscape like there, and you know, how does that affect where you're seeing opportunities to grow?
Okay, thank you. So I think the growth of the hash rate will be decided by the either existing machines now, or because these machines they're running with very low power cost. For example, you can see still many machines and they are running in China during the wet season. Even like their profit is like only like 2 cents dollars, but they're still running because they're making profit. And so this is one part. And the other side, I think is definitely coming from the new machines. But I think the supply capacity of the new machines is limited. I mean, this is the choice even for all the manufacturers, because you know the wafer foundries and their supply is limited because there's a huge demand of the some like phones and PCs and their consumer electronics and also the 5G communications. So the wafer foundry is totally limited, especially this mining industry is still quite small for them. So there must be a limited supply of the machines. So for this year, just like I said before, that I see the high potential market in North America because like more customers in North America, they would like to choose like the machines with higher efficiency. So that might be the future.